Well, if he does, tell him to come home. Immediately. You have beautiful children.
Go home! And thanks for the Levi's.
Now, if you haven't seen it and you aren't crazy, you might be surprised to discover that this movie is about
Tetris?
Tetris.
Tetris, Tetris.
Tetris.
you know, the one with the blocks. No, not this one. This guy. This one. Yeah. I'm gonna speed through this trailer and note the key things to look out for in this movie about Tetris.
It's poetry, art, and math all working in magical synchronicity. It's the perfect game.
NDAs.
Only 10 other people in the world have seen what you're about to see.
Geopolitics.
Walking into a country
that still considers America enemy numero uno.
Negotiations.
This is the inventor of Tetris.
Your game is brilliant. I'm gonna make you a millionaire.
And the KGB.
The most powerful man in Communist Party is watching you and your family.
And of course,
Oh, come on. You guys are the kings of cliffhangers.
now, on paper, this film should just be a historical biopic about Hank Rogers trying to license Tetris out of a collapsing communist Russia. And it is. But with Soviet-owned IP, multiple corporations fighting for rights, and a government that could shut down everything at any point, this film chose to tell that story through a thriller lens, with surveillance, KGB tales, and threats. Obviously, some of this was dramatized for the film. It is a Hollywood production, but the stakes were real, and if they weren't, this film probably wouldn't exist. To give an incredibly brief synopsis about this film, we begin with Hank Rogers discovering Tetris.
Do you have the video game rights? Microsoft control all rights on all platforms worldwide. Is Japan available?
Chasing those rights.
You guys want this game or not?
Yeah, of course we do, but you're walking into a communist country.
That still considers America enemy numero uno. If you go, we can't protect you.
Okie dokie.
Befriending Alexei.
Life is hard, and we deserve our small celebrations.
I forgot how much fun this is.
And closing the deal.
Meaning you're bankrupt.
Enough! I could have you all arrested.
Can we get this done, please? Mr. Belikov.
You bastard!
Out.
You're not safe until you leave Moscow. Go.
Now that we have a basis of our plot, let's go over the characters that actually drive it. First is our lead protagonist, Hank. He's the classic outsider believer. He sees Tetris in Japan, gets obsessed, and bets his own money and his family's stability chasing licensing rights that nobody even knows who owns yet. He's the character driving the plot forward, and so everything we're watching happens because he refuses to let this go. Next, Alexei Pajitnov, who's arguably the moral center of this film, even though he's not the one driving the plot. He actually created Tetris, and he's got the least power out of anyone in the story, because he built Tetris on Soviet state hardware, which legally means the state owns it, not him. His arc isn't really about winning, it's about slowly gaining any agency at all over something that he himself made. Then there's Robert Stein, who works best as a foil to Hank rather than as a flat villain. He's chasing the same rights through sloppier, faster, and more exploitative means, and he barely confirms who he's actually licensing from before he starts selling it. And finally, Robert Maxwell, the closest thing this movie has to a straightforward antagonist. Real-world media mogul throws his whole company and his son Kevin's career on the line to grab the rights out from under everyone else. He represents institutional money and power going up against Hank's scrappy, personal, one guy in a fax machine type approach. Starting with the setting of this frame, we see a corporate R&D office, complete with drop ceilings, wall-mounted blueprints, and a boxy CRT monitor off in the background. This allows us to start building up an idea of where this scene takes place, somewhere institutional and clinical, somewhere built for invention. Costume is also a very important part of this shot. Minoru and Howard on either side are dressed in plain white lab coats, but Hank in the center breaks that pattern completely, standing there in a tan suit instead. This makes him stand out from the other two men in the room as the focal point of the scene, and it suggests he holds a different kind of authority. His hair tells a similar story. It's slick backed and neatly kempt, which paired with the mustache roots this whole image in the 80s, and it tells us something about how deliberately Hank presents himself. The next area of mise-en-scène that we'll look at is props. In this scene, there are two main props. The small device connected to the bottom of the frame by a rainbow ribbon cable next to the clear frame that hold it up. In the background of the room, we see an old computer terminal and the blueprint boards that help give us another indicator of the time period, and they suggest we're watching a new technology being born in the middle of the analog tools it's about to replace. Next is lighting. This scene is lit with flat, even fluorescent light coming straight down from the ceiling with almost no shadow to it. This also suggests a very clinical setting, rather than something dramatic. Like we're watching a routine moment rather than the turning point that this is, which lets the object Hank is holding and the discussion of the scene do the emotional work instead of the lighting. If we look at how this shot is composed, the device sits center, in Hank's hands with Minoru and Howard balancing either side, both of their gazes staring right at it. That symmetry is doing the same job as the lighting, keeping our attention locked on the one thing that actually matters in this frame, the Game Boy. Now I'm going to play my favorite scene from the movie, and we'll break it down after as a scene analysis.
Behind us! Do you trust me?
Starting with cinematography, this scene throws a lot of different perspectives at us in a very short amount of time. We get head-on shots looking straight through the windscreen at Hank and Alexei, side-angle shots inside the car catching their reactions, and wide shots pulling back to show the cars swerving through the Moscow streets. Cutting between these three types of shots is what gives the chase its sense of speed. We've never locked into one viewpoint long enough to settle, which keeps us feeling disoriented like the characters do. Editing is also a huge part of what makes this scene work. This clip is cut fast, landing at 61 edits across roughly a minute and a half, which works out to an average shot length of under a second and a half. That rapid pace is a deliberate choice, since quick cuts naturally raise tension and mimic the feeling of a car moving too fast for us to process clearly. The next area I want to talk about is the digitization of the cars, which is where the scene stops being a normal car chase and starts becoming something closer to a video game level. At certain points, usually right as the car swerves or clips into something, the vehicle breaks apart into bloxy pixelated versions of themselves before snapping back to the live action. This ties directly into the way the whole film is structured, with the story broken into levels instead of acts and Hank essentially leveling up as he gets closer to sealing the Tetris deal. The chase becomes the final obstacle standing between him and reaching the airport, so turning it into a literal video game moment reinforces that framing. This stylized edit does more than just look cool. It's the film reminding us what kind of story we're actually watching. Every other tense sequence in the movie uses 8-bit pixel layered over live action just for scene transitions, but here the effect gets folded directly into the action itself, which makes the chase feel like the climactic level of the game rather than a straightforward thriller set piece. Lastly, I want to talk about sound design. The chase is scored to Polina's Russian cover of Holding Out for a Hero. and that choice is doing more than just filling the space. It gives the whole sequence an intense, dramatic energy while still keeping things fun rather than grim. Layered underneath it are practical sound effects you'd expect from any car chase, screeching tires, revving engines, and the occasional crunch of metal when a car clips an obstacle. Dialogue is kept minimal and mostly shouted, short bursts of urgency from Hank and Alexei rather than full sentences. But this lets the music and sound effects carry most of the emotional weight of this scene instead. Put together, the whipping camera angles, the rapid-fire cuts, the pixelated stylization, and that intense dramatic needle drop are all doing the same job, making sure we experience this chase less like a real escape through Moscow, and more like reaching the high score in the very game this movie is about.